Well, Ryan has another show opening for us. I'll show you in just a moment. I don't really know who this is. I see myself maybe 5%. It looks like a retired colonel from the military who started a mega church and is now forming a cult of some kind, a Jim Jones style cult. A little bit of me in there. The AI in this case is a little off, but Ryan will keep trying. Thank you, Ryan.
Welcome to the Fishing About reality show with your host Matt McKinley.
Okay, who the hell is that? Is that how I appear to the outside world? What if that showed up to take your daughter to the prom? And it always puts 10 pounds on me. It always makes me far more bald than I actually am. Matt, this is how you seem to everybody. You're self-delusional. You look in the mirror and see yourself in your best shape at 24 years old. Face up to it. You over 50, boy. Well, they're recycling the Sir Ernest Shackleton story about going to the South Pole and being stranded there for over a year. In many ways, the new National Geographic special is called Endurance, and we know everything presented by the National Geographic Channel and the History Channel is always 100% and completely accurate. Then you have that Netflix show called The Terror, which is basically about the same thing. I mean, it's so boring after 5 episodes, I had to turn it off. But they get stuck in the ice, explorations to Antarctica. And just looking at the Wikipedia, because it's been a long time since I visited Sir Ernest Henry Shackleton. And he's got the 3 names. And Ernest goes to, isn't that a comedy movie? Ernest Goes to Antarctica? Let me read briefly from the Wikipedia here. After the race to the South Pole ended in December 1911 with, oh no, December 1911, the 9 with, there it is again, with Ronald Amundsen's conquest, Shackleton then turned his attention to crossing the Antarctic, crossing the entire breadth of Antarctica from sea to sea via the pole. What? To this end, he made preparations for what became the Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition of 1914. The expedition was struck by disaster. You think? You kind of walked right into it, you jackasses. When its ship Endurance became trapped in pack ice, well, what'd you think would happen? It ain't exactly a leisurely cruise down the Amazon now, is it? Which finally sank in the Weddell Sea off Antarctica the 21st of November 1915. The crew escaped. What? By camping on the sea ice. You know how unpleasant that is? Until it disintegrated. Then by launching the lifeboats to reach Elephant Island and ultimately the South Atlantic island of South Georgia, enduring a stormy ocean voyage of 720 nautical miles. Really? I'm sorry. We're going to talk about it before we go into other topics here in the Fish in a Barrel reality show. I don't buy it. It says here that 720 nautical miles is the equivalent of 830 miles. Well, why don't they just say 830 miles? What's the difference? Isn't a unit of measurement the same? I mean, I don't understand what the difference. Why do they have to use nautical miles? Don't make no sense to me. Well, you ain't no ship captain. It's just how many miles did you go? Why you need a different standard of measure? You have to confuse everybody. Matt, I see where this is going. You better be real sure about what you're about to do, boy. If these poor souls did actually endure such tragedy and such hardship, if they really went through this, and at the very minimum, Matt, you're going to potentially suggest that it didn't happen. You and your people don't believe anything. Well, we live in a gigantic trick. We're kind of conditioned not to believe anything. It's not our fault. But yeah, I'm going to suggest that. But see, even if they went through it, there's a reason why I still can make this sort of presentation, which, because it is the Fish in the Barrel reality show, it is a bit condescending and mocking. And so even if they went through it, you're going to mock it? To a degree, yes. There's lots of reasons why this doesn't make sense. Give me a chance to make that case, guys. But even if they went through it, you would say, what kind of dumbasses would sign up or go into the pack ice of Antarctica at a certain time of year, knowing there's a 15 to 20% chance that you could be stuck and have to survive the winter in Antarctica. I mean, if you signed up for this, do you really deserve not to be made fun of? You see what I'm saying? You want to sign up for expedition? Oh yeah, I like sailing the high seas. We're going into the pack ice of Antarctica at a certain type of time of year. Well, couldn't the ship get stuck? Well, of course. That's okay. We're prepared to hunker down. Didn't you see the Netflix show The Terror? In The Terror, it's like they make it like out of no big deal. And I turned it off after 5 episodes. I'm like, oh, I want to like this so much. It was like boring. And they get stuck, and the captains are like, well, okay, we kind of expected this. Well, let's just hold up for the winter. And then I think they might have to hold up for it, and they talk like, well, we might have to do this next winter too. Like, well, where's your lemons and limes? Where's your scurvy preparation kits? So, didn't we hear about scurvy and all that? Now it doesn't apply. Oh, we can hold up, and they have the supplies. They ain't exactly hunting whales and the blubber off seals with spears and shit. It doesn't make any sense. On The Terror, they just make it seem like, okay, we're prepared to be stuck here all winter. Like it's not like it's no big deal, but almost. So I'm sorry. First off, there's a lot of strange circumstances surrounding this story, and we live in a gigantic script and a gigantic trick. So I'm sorry, I'm conditioned not to believe this sort of thing. Second, if you really signed up and you really went through it, you're stupid. Who the heck would sign up for a trip like this? Okay, guys, this is the best map I could find of Shackleton's route and the tragedy that befell as they approached Antarctica. So 30 seconds or less for the summary, then we'll look at it in detail. Started up here, South Georgia Island, comes down here, approaches Antarctica, and then gets trapped in the ice right here. It says January 18th. Then, see, it's drifting with the ice. The ship is trapped in the ice, drifts in the ice, basically drifting out to sea. They can't go anywhere. They're kind of at the mercy of where the ice will take them. So that's just a general overview. Starts December 5th, 1914, when the Endurance, that's Shackleton's ship, departs the unpronounceable whaling station, 1914. Down here through the South Sandwich Islands. I thought that was just in the south of England. What's it doing down here? December 7th enters the pack ice. See, here's where it gets interesting. Sir, we're entering the pack ice. Yeah? What'd you think you signed up for? You want us to go forward? We could be stuck. Well, yeah, didn't they tell you that when you signed your papers? That's why we're here. I mean, enters the pack ice here. You're going to miss Christmas. This is December 7th, 1914. I don't think this, I see right here, if I was the captain, I would have turned that baby around right there. I would have said, we're going home. Anyway, here they come, walking the mile, walking the mile. It's like the Green Mile. It's a death sentence. Walking the mile, and then down here, they're hugging the coast of the landmass of Antarctica. January 18th. Uh-oh, what we thought could happen, sir. We're trapped in the ice. Okay. That's kind of what we thought. It's okay. We'll just hunker down the winter like they present in The Terror. It's no big deal. How many lemons and limes we got left? And then it drifts here with the pack ice. February through October 1915. February through October. That's not like 2 weeks. Drifting in the pack ice for more than 6 months. Right about here on October 27th, Endurance is crushed and abandoned. Finally, the ice crushes the hull of the ship. Run away! Run away! And then the Endurance sinks. Now, guys, at this point, we have to pause and realize how much time has gone by. Okay, December 1914, the sinking, November of 1915. Call it almost a year. So they're enduring the Antarctica winter. Okay, they have the ship as a form of shelter. I mean, I want you guys to realize this isn't 4 or 5 weeks. Right here is a year by itself, almost a year. Okay, they ain't got no Russian stoves, I don't think, on the boat. They ain't got no jacuzzi tubs. Now the boat sinks. The only form of shelter, oh, they might have little tents or whatever. I'm sorry. I mean, it sinks. At this point, the chances of survival, assuming, this is real, what are your chances? What needs to happen to survive? Here, even to get to this point, to me would be like 1 out of 100. But okay, the boat sinks. There goes your Russian stoves. There goes your jacuzzi tubs and your plug-in heaters. So what you got to do now? Drag. My understanding is, I haven't looked at this in detail for many years, but they drag lifeboats, or they continue to venture out a crew without, of course, the boat. The boat is now sunk. Shackleton and crew drift on ice, then sail row. I looked at this a long time ago. I thought, just like in the Terror, they carry boats to find some sort of liquid water so they can continue on the sea. Either way, I don't know how many hundreds of miles this might be to do this, to find a liquid ocean. I don't know how to talk about it. That's not frozen. You're not blocked by ice. So they sail row in lifeboats to Elephant Island. It's just some remote, half of the year abandoned whaling station. Okay, let's just say they can put the boats in the water here. And what does it say? Lifeboats? It's not the Titanic, man. Let's say they put the lifeboats from the Titanic in the water here. Well, how are you going to find little Elephant Island? How do you even know exactly where you are? I don't care what sextants they brought, what lodestones roll in the knuckle bones. How you know exactly where you are? You can just look up at the stars. You've been drifting on the ice. You can just look up at the stars at things supposedly hundreds of billions and trillions of miles away, and just know that you drifted 22 miles out on the ice. And how are you going to find Elephant Island in a little boat? Come on. I mean, how you know where they got no GPS. You need to know exactly where you are, even if you are something. Well, they navigated the stars, Matt. Don't you know anything? Oh, really? Okay. So whatever. 50 miles, dragging boats, walking the mile. Then they get the boat. Look, not land ho, sea ho. And no, okay, fine, let's put our boats in the water. Where are we going to go? We're going to find these margaritas and senoritas up here in Argentina and Chile. Let's try to screw the rest of our crew. Let's make it all the way to Argentina and Chile for the margaritas and senoritas. No, we got to make it to Elephant Island. That's our best chance. How are we going to find it? Lieutenant Dan, how are we going to find them? Can't find it. I'm sorry. But they brought the sextant, Matt, whatever, and they brought their lodestones. I don't know what that is. But if you don't know where you are, I don't buy it. I'm sorry. Matt, you and your people think everything's cake in a lake. Yeah, we pretty much do. Okay, fine. Let's continue with the story. See if it becomes more believable or less. So Elephant Island, I don't know if the entire crew, just part of the crew. Well, I think, yeah, part of the crew set out. Well, what did the rest do? The boat's gone. What are they eating? What are they drinking? Okay, we'll leave that to the end. The eating and drinking doesn't matter. The surviving the negative 40 degrees doesn't matter. The ability to light a fire, there's no firewood, whatever, the damn boat sank. We'll leave that for later. All those little things like eating and drinking don't matter. So part of the crew make it to Elephant Island. And then where are we going to go? Where are we going to get to, Lieutenant Dan? We going to go to the margaritas and senoritas? Nope. You got to make it all. We got to make it all the way. Our best bet's the South Georgia Island. See, they can't stay here on Elephant Island. There ain't no Ritz-Carlton and Four Seasons. It's an abandoned whaling station, like that abandoned station. You know what? I think this is what remember the Predator? What was it? Was it Predator versus Alien? I think the first one where they found the underground temples in Antarctica. They came across those abandoned whaling stations. That's an ode to Shackleton and Elephant Island, but there was no Predator here, we don't think, when Shackleton was here. There's nothing here. It's abandoned most of the year. So what's our best bet? Chile or South Georgia Island, where we came from? These sons of bitches up here, hunkering down, men with men. Oh, they're going to go to South Georgia Island. Well, that's easy, right? That's just a couple hours. Nope. Up here, I call your attention to the very top. Shackleton and 5 crewmen sail/row a whaleboat 800 that's like 1,000 regular miles to you and me, to South Georgia Island. 800 nautical miles. How many lemons and limes you got left? I'm sorry. I don't buy it. This right here to me hurts the legitimacy of the story, the fact that pictures and video exists. In a survival situation where you have like 1 out of 1,000 chance to live, would you be really worried about taking your pictures? I don't think so. They're putting dogs down the emergency slide. Look at that. Is that where the airlines got that idea? But the airlines don't need to use their emergency slides because there's no airline incidents, no crashes anymore for 50 years. Look at all the dogs. It's like Django. Poor little squirrels. This is where Big Daddy keeps all his squirrels. They probably had to eat the dogs. If it was up to me with a rescue party, I'd save those dogs. What was that, like Nine Below or Eight Below, that movie with Paul Walker? I'd save the dogs long before I'd save those poor devils that signed up to go down to Antarctica in the pack ice, those dumbasses. The dogs didn't sign up for anything. They were forced. Save the dogs first. If your frozen broke asses are alive when I get back, then I'll save you. The fact that these videos exist, I don't think you'd be too worried about videos and pictures when it's a 1 out of 1,000 chance to survive. And even if let's say the first weeks you're taking your pictures, fine. Matt, they don't know it's going to get that bad. They still have the boat. Well, okay, aren't you just going to leave the video behind? You're going to take the video all the way to Elephant Island, all the way to Jurassic Park? You'd leave the video behind. It would be big metal canisters and shit. It would be more important, it's just me, to carry lemons and food. All right, that's enough on Shackleton. Overall, we'll just say, Shackleton, you suspect. Not really buying it right now, but I will watch the National Geographic special as soon as possible to try to interpret their lies. We'll see what happens. Guys, the next thing I wanted to talk about is just some comments that were left over the last few videos about the election. And some people emailed me as well saying, Matt, it's not that clear. There could be another shoe that could drop here. I mean, it's not as simple as now Trump will just be inaugurated, they'll make the 34 felony charges go away, and everything will go back to the craziness that we remember 4 years ago. Not so fast, my friend. There could be some curveball, and I'll look to your comments. Do you think there will be one more shoe to drop? And it, from a minor hiccup that we didn't expect to a major league curveball like Biden steps down, which makes Kamala the president, and she, per special investigation, then has the authority to look at the election. And was the Russians meddling again? Will they try to bring that back? Remember how ridiculous and that parrot squawked thousands of times in the first 8 to 12 months after the first Donald Trump inauguration. How many times did we hear, Russians hacked the election, Russians hacked the election, Russians hacked the election? They never even explain what that means. Well, explain that. Well, how did they affect the polling places? What did they do? Were the people at the polling stations working for the Russians? Were they all related to Lee Harvey Oswald? Perhaps did they put in a computer virus to change? They never even explained it. But the dummies all around us, the Russians hacked the election. The Russians hacked the election. That's all they said, and that's all they never had to explain it. And the people, but obviously, if anybody's new, it's all laid down. It's all a script. It boggles me how many, well, it wasn't that many, but several comments. Matt, believe in Trump. We have a chance now. Oh my God, I cannot believe those comments keep coming. I really can't. So to wrap up this short section, I agree with those that commented along those lines or send me the emails. Something else is coming. I don't know what. Another shoe to drop. That doesn't mean the election's going to be upset, although some people are saying that. And I don't think so. But something, they're going to throw something at us, of course. I mean, you would think that would have to happen. The Notnilc can't resist. This next segment is what we've been talking about a lot over the last few months, Notnilc weather. And I've alluded to this and told you guys about this several times. We're pushing 2 months here outside Philadelphia and Pennsylvania without a drop of rain. I think this is affecting many states in the Northeast, probably up through Connecticut, Boston. I know New Jersey's affected. I just don't watch the news and the weather anymore. And it's unnatural to me. Let's just get that out. It's unnatural. And okay, maybe like twice we had 2 minutes of a few drops. I mean, that doesn't count. We've had zero. Basically, for almost 2 months. And that's just not possible in the fall in Pennsylvania. With huge swings in temperature comes shifts to the jet stream, swings of humidity coming up from Georgia, and then northern winds coming down. The fall brings typically more rain overall. I know you can get some dry in September, and that's normal, but nothing like this. The fall, because of the wild temperature changes, create a lot of different weather patterns. Now, there are a lot of possibilities as to what may be going on here, and we'll explore them now. But please, first grade truthers, if you're typing HARP, please don't. Okay? HARP, please. HARP! Yeah, I know. Guess what? in terms of whatever their capabilities may be for weather manipulation, modification, whatever it may be, no rain, lots of rain, hurricane, whatever, they have a lot more capabilities than HARP. Or maybe that's a factor, but we talked about that 12 to 15 years ago. Please, you don't know how they're doing it. Nobody knows. Don't just parrot back, HARP! Stop it. Please, stop it. Okay, there's things we're never going to understand. Now, what I've noticed that's strange, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this, is very strange wind shifts. Out a lot doing leaves. After I make a video, I try to keep the house basically, although I'm, as I said, close to the road, but almost basically like live in the woods, so having millions and millions of dry leaves all pushed up against the house, that does not make me very comfortable. So I'm doing a lot more leaves, keeping like a moat of I want these leaves pushed away in case, they light, whatever. This is the situation we're in. So I'm out a lot after videos doing leaves in little segments, keeping them off the house, etc., keeping them out of the gutters, off the roof. The winds shift in weird ways. Typically, okay, you get a wind from the north, or you get a wind from the south. That brings up a ton of humidity from Georgia and South Carolina. That happened all summer long. Many days this summer, it was like Miami or Havana, Cuba. It was so thick. But again, this happens every summer. Winds coming up from the south, off the sea, or from South Carolina, etc. Okay, we're used to that as well. But we haven't even gotten a cloud, I don't think, here for 6 or 7 weeks. If there could be a little bit in the morning, then it just goes to crystal clear blue all afternoon with not many days of tails of chemicals. The tails of chemicals days are down 90 to 95%. It's mostly crystal clear blue. And what I wanted to mention is I'm out doing the leaves. What I noticed was you get the shifting of the winds back and forth in both directions, like a swirling. It's like they're almost like they're trying to keep something in place, like trying to keep a high pressure in place or something. So again, typically some days you get a wind from this direction and it generally blows from that direction and it will keep coming in from the west or wherever. But it's like, okay, because I'm noticing this because I need to blow. There's these two ravines where I blow the leaves down where they typically don't come back up on the grass. Sometimes I'll go to blow the leaves down and the wind will be with me. And it's simple. Oh gosh, they're so light and crackly. I can just, with my blower, the leaves, it's easy. And then sometimes I'll go back 10 minutes later and blow basically the same pile and they'll come back in my face like the wind just shifted. So it's like one direction, back the other. One direction, back the other. And it's like, is this a tactic to stall something or a high pressure? But in terms of if this is as Notnilc managed as it may be, or maybe usually I say we don't go far enough, but sometimes, like I said a few weeks ago, is it right to blame everything on Notnilc? Is this where Matt is? Is this where we are, that every little thing we need to blame on Notnilc? And that's probably not right either. Maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle. Sometimes people would say, Matt, you say we don't go far enough, and then it turns out 6 years or 7 or 8 years later, and looking all the stuff we look at, we didn't even go nearly far enough. Anyway, it just seems odd, all right? But in terms of, if let's just say it's completely managed and manipulated, whatever is happening to the Northeast, could be the reason for it could be something just completely we can't even anticipate. And I don't think this is it, but just popped into my head the other day. We've talked many times over the years about how horrible Lyme disease is with the deer ticks from, Delaware all the way up through Massachusetts, up through Maine, from Connecticut down through Pennsylvania. It's the deer tick Lyme disease capital of the world. Like 1 out of 3 deer ticks carry it. If they suck on you for more than 7 or 8 hours, you have a 30%, and it's nasty. I mean, it just really has gotten a lot of people horribly affected, millions of people in the last 30 years. And maybe, Tucker Carlson now and even Notnilc shills, whether they know their role or not, they're talking about how it is, the weapons lab on Plum Island, which is just off the coast of Lyme, Connecticut, a real city where the first cases were found in the early 80s, something like that. Even, Tucker Carlson is saying, oh, it was a tick that escaped, a weaponized syphilis or whatever. So I'm just saying, who knows what's going on here? Maybe this whole thing did grow completely out of control. Maybe a tick did escape, or who knows? I'm just saying maybe they're trying to destroy half the tick population by drying everything out to ridiculous levels for 2 months. I don't, well, Matt, you're suggesting they're doing something positive for us? Just relax. You know, I maybe they don't want it they didn't expect it to get this out of control with millions upon millions affected by the who know people talking that it is a weaponized form of this or that. Who knows? Okay, who knows? I'm just saying we don't always know if they won't look. Here's what I'm saying. What Gus is saying is, if they just want to bring misery and they won't be able to grow crops and all a few more months of this, Matt, everything will start to die off. And right now the trees are fine. The trees are fine. If anybody's living in Northeast and you're worried about it, the trees can take months and months more of this. They're fine. The smaller bushes and shrubs aren't liking this, but whatever. All I care about is the trees. And there's no problem right now, or all the leaves would be off. They're still holding their leaves. So what Gus is saying is this weird things pop into my head, like maybe they are trying to destroy 50% of the deer tick population because it's out of control. What they could have never expected. The only reason that comes in is if it was just about causing misery and, whatever, they could have done this a long time to the Northeast. And Washington, D.C. also is part of although senators and congressmen don't know what's going on, this is their Mount Olympus. I mean, they're not going to screw over their own place where they live. The weather in Washington, D.C. and Baltimore is basically what we get in Philadelphia. I assure you it's probably not, perfect rain totals down there, although I have no idea, but I don't think so. So they're not going to screw themselves, all right? And if they wanted to just bring misery and wanted Pennsylvania, the topography to look like 10 miles outside of Phoenix, Arizona, they could have done that to us decades ago. Okay, they have the ability at any time to bring misery in hundreds of different ways. So it's not just, you just don't parrot out misery every time. You have to think a little bit. Point is, what are the chances that this is just something natural? At this point, it's 98% unnatural. I don't think that naturally the weather can do this. And again, I watch it very carefully in terms of when I'm outside. I'm very attuned to these sort of things, where the wind's coming from, how the wind's shifting. I know just by walking outside in 2 seconds, I could tell you within a few points where the humidity level is. You could say it's probably about 45% today, and I'll be close. So I watch this stuff very carefully. I'm attuned to it, and it's unnatural. There's no way the regular Earth on its own, could be doing this. It just happens, Matt. No. So but why they're doing it, I don't know. And is it, am I that concerned with it? Well, I don't like the forest fire risk here. I don't. Okay. The tinder, I don't like that. But I don't think it'll go on forever. I think, the rain will come back, and I'm not that concerned with it. Typically, I figured I'd be a little more freaked out than I am, because all the shrubs and the trees and the animals, and that's all I really care about. That's all I have. So I put water out every day in a dog bowl, and the raccoons and things come at night and just drain it down to nothing. I put water out, and I try to water some bushes around, but I'm not as freaked out about it as I would have thought I would be, because I just figure, I think will come out of it. But in terms of what they're up to, just saying, don't always just parrot and scream misery. It's not always that simple, is what I'm saying. And that's the purpose of this segment. Lastly, guys, for freevoice.io on Sunday, I'm either going to do Utopia, the UK series. Was it 2010 or 2014 on Channel 4 BBC? I finished season 1 and 2. I had watched it years ago. Utopia UK. There was an American version that came out, 5 years later, that just doesn't hold up. Does not hold up. To me, from what I've seen of the trailer and what people are saying, there's no point in watching the American version. You can't replicate what they did with the UK version. And the reason it would have to be free voice is I'll allude to some things here. I mean, it has all the elements. Bot, we're talking about Utopia on Channel 4 in the UK. Vaccine is a huge issue, and in the TV show, the manipulation of it, the secret societies behind it, what it's out to do to the human population. I mean, they're all the stuff that we have generally looked at in these communities over the years. Utopia has in a very eyes wide shut parties. It's very, very. There's a lot of truth drops in it. I mean, no doubt about it. So I could probably talk about it in a regular video, which I might do. The other thing I might do on Free Voice is I came across some videos with updates, bot updates on what's happening between Russia and Ukraine, and haven't talked about that for a while. And that I just can't speak openly about. It's a complete reality breakdown. What's why I don't even know how to talk about it. The first grade truthers might still believe that it's just the movie Wag the Dog and it's completely cake in a lake. No, it's not what they say it is, but real people are dying, but it's not, it's such a manipulated, managed situation. So Greg and I always say, well, where's the Russian fleets of MiG-29s? Where are the Sukhoi 27s and Sukhoi 30s? They'll show you these videos about a trench versus a trench, like they're fighting in certain areas in the Ukraine. They're fighting like World War I, but with drones. The Ukrainians are using drones. I guess the Russians have no ability to use the drones. And the drones are dropping, on parts of the Russian trenches, which is just like one step up from how World War I was fought. What about, remember the attack helicopters that they showed us in Rambo? Remember that? Remember that part where Rambo went to Afghanistan and the whatever those attack. Where are all those attack helicopters and the Sukhoi 27s and the MiG 29s and their own drones and their own cruise missiles against the Ukrainian trench line? You just dig down 3 or 4 feet in the mud. That can protect you from that sort of thing. Oh, it's okay. We in the mud. But there's missiles, there's attack helicopters, there's Sukhoi 27s, smart weapons, drone weapons. We in the mud. I said we in the mud. It's okay. No, I'm no expert. I didn't write the Jane's military encyclopedias, but I don't think just, living in the trench like in World War I protects you from, what did they have in the Gulf War? Was it bunker buster bombs? 3 bunker busters. Remember those? You just go right through 18 feet of concrete. And then they had cluster bombs. Remember, you just have to drop it above. Clusters out. Everything below is just gone. And Matt, the Russians don't have that. Oh, they have the slingshots, and they got the 22 right. Okay. It's being fought. 90% of the advanced weaponry is being held back, and nobody talks about it. Oh, my God, I better wrap this up. Look at the time.